Good morning and welcome back to Tabletop Tuesday on Gaming with ADHD. Today I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the Dice Tower West convention, which was held last week in Las Vegas. My wife and I were lucky enough to attend. And basically I just wanted to give a few of my thoughts, things that I liked, things I didn't like, talk a little bit about the games that I got to play. Apologies in advance. It was way smaller an amount of games than I probably should have played for going there. But it's still a good selection, and I did have a wonderful time for the time that I was there. So, it was held at the Rio All Suite Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. And as you can see here on the screen, this is the map of the entire convention area. Just to give a little bit of description, this is a convention center attached to the hotel. My wife and I did stay on site, and it's convenient. It's close to the hotel and the convention center are close to each other, but they have it positioned in such a way that I averaged about 6 miles a day, because I would go back to the room once or twice. And while it's not a hard walk, it's all inside. It was definitely a hike. The fact that I was regularly doubling or I think once even tripling my move goal on my Apple Watch, and that was without doing any kind of a workout. That was literally just walking from my hotel to the convention center. But regardless, it was a very large space. As you can see here, this green and blue section, that is the main hall. It was very large. The mask optional area was smaller. That was also the open gaming area. It was not as large as the main hall, but there was still plenty of room. I'll get into some more details about that later. They did also have a small area for Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League. My wife and I didn't take advantage of that, but it was there. A couple of other rooms for content creators, if you want to play games a little quieter. They also had a very large auditorium for the different shows and panels. Large room for the library. I actually did a video from Thursday when there wasn't quite as much traffic, so I could get some good perspective shots. I will have that link down below if you actually want to see those rooms. Overall, it was a very, very good sized space. It was easy to navigate, and I really, really did like just the venue in general. Now, things that I liked about this convention. Number one, it is board game focused. If that's all that you want to play, this is absolutely the convention for you. I say the same kind of thing about Adepticon. If you are a miniatures game player, absolutely Adepticon is the type of event that you're going to want to go to. Lots of different miniatures manufacturers, lots of different miniatures players, events, games. That's a great thing about Adepticon. Dice Tower West is 100% about the board games. Obviously, they did have a small area for role-playing games. I don't know of anyone playing miniatures games while we were there, but at least for now, this convention is all about the board games. They take care of people that way, because if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get. On top of that, this is a 5-day show. I thought Gen Con and Adepticon were long at 4 days, and this one adds a fifth day. I'm not sure why it has a fifth day, but they do also give the option to purchase a 3-day badge if you don't want to attend the whole time. I went for the 5 days. My wife went for the 3. She was there the entire time, but she would let me go and play, and she would, sit in the hotel and read her book, or she went on a walk over to the Bellagio, which was close by. So there were options. There are ways that they make it a little flexible. They do not have single day badges, which I thought was kind of interesting. But regardless, I thought it was reasonable the way that they did it. Another thing I liked is that, obviously with the Dice Tower name, they're going to bring the Dice Tower staff and the personalities, the people that you see on the Dice Tower videos, day in and day out. They do make it a point to not just show up for panels or specific meet and greet type events. They actually wander the halls and play games with the attendees. They're not hiding. I actually did not get to play any games with members of the Dice Tower this year, but when my wife and I went to our first one in 2020, we were just wandering around, and Tom Vassell grabbed us and said, "Hey, come on, we're playing a game." And so a group of us played an apples to apples type game, and so they are more than happy to get in, talk, answer questions. Realize that they are somewhat celebrities in this space, but to me, they didn't let it go to their heads, and they're very personable, very very willing to talk and socialize with the attendees, and I think that was fantastic. One of the other things I like is they make these signs for players wanted or teachers wanted. So if you're trying to get that game of Twilight Imperium and you want all 8 players, you can put up a sign. If there's a new game in the hot games area and you want to play, you can put up a sign. Somebody come teach me how to play this game. They absolutely make it easy for anyone to jump into a game. I remember one of the games that I got into, I had to get out of my comfort zone and actually ask if I could join, but they had the players wanted sign up. It was a game that I had never played, and I asked, if they would mind if I jumped in. And big shout out to Brian and Justin, who taught me how to play Le Havre. They were very accommodating, very nice, very fun to talk to, and just brought me in just because there was a sign up and I knew who would want somebody else to play. Now, it was a little frustrating sometimes when you want to play a game but there's no sign up, but oh well. That can't ask for everything. All right. A couple other things. I did like the hotel. The Rio is an older hotel, but with that being said, even though it's showing its age, the price versus the location were very, very reasonable. I absolutely enjoyed staying there. Pillows weren't the greatest, but that's okay. We'll bring our own next time. And the convention hall. To be honest with you, the convention hall was, in my opinion, fantastic. Lots of room for growth. My understanding was there were about 2,000 attendees. And the fact that there was plenty of room for people in the main gaming hall, plus plenty of room for people in the open gaming hall. So if you only wanted to play with people who were wearing masks, you could go to the main hall, and there was plenty of room for you there. If you didn't want to wear a mask, you could go to the open gaming hall, and there was plenty of room for you there. Now, there were more people in the open gaming area, at least in my opinion. I did not count it, but it did seem when I would go between the two halls, there seemed to be more people at the open gaming area. But regardless, there was plenty of room But I will get into some more about that here in a minute. All right. Some things that I thought I were kind of neutral. So number one was the scheduling app. It's a web-based app, so they didn't have an actual app itself. I totally understand why. I'm not actually, trying to give them grief for that. It was very easy to add and join events. I joined so that I would have some reminders on the panels that I wanted to attend. I also, created an event and set that up. It took me a couple of minutes, just did it from my iPad, and super easy to get done. The biggest problem is it only works if people actually submit events. Now, I am 100% at fault here. There were some events that I needed to create and I didn't, but I coordinated with people and we just met up. Because of the nature of the convention, and I definitely noticed it when we were there 2 years ago, it's more just kind of free-flowing open gaming. It's not like Gen Con where everything is scheduled and regimented and this is when you play and this is when the event ends. It's, show up. People need players, jump into a game. People need somebody to teach, jump in and show them how to play, even if you're not necessarily playing yourself. So, it's the scheduling app was a vast improvement over 2020, but it definitely needs work. One big problem I had with it is that search and filters seem to include unrelated events, or they just didn't include anything at all. So let me show an example here. So right here we have this is the scheduling app on the web, and you can see you get the name of the event and what kind of experience level, how many seats are open versus taken, when, how long, where, etc., etc., etc. Even a quick option to add or remove yourself from the event over here on the right. Now, the reason that I'm showing this as a problem is you'll notice that I have all events selected, and the only ones I want to see are the events for content creation. So I've got my YouTube channel. I wanted the chance to network and to attend panels, to get some ideas. So I just wanted to see any events related to content creation. I don't know about you, but I don't think Captain Sonar for all experience levels is about content creation. Tammany Hall, Dune, Moonshine Empire. These are not content creation events. Here's one. Finally, it is tagged for content creation, which now I see is marked as being part of a lobby. So let's go check that out. So we've got the content creation lobby, and so here are a couple events that I didn't know about. But even again, we still have one. Okay, so Rolling Heights is newest game from AEG. It was just on Kickstarter. John DeClaire will be playing the game along with Amanda Panda and a couple of her Twitch family. Okay, so would have been interesting, but other than that, just a couple of extra events that I wasn't aware of. So overall, it's it was a little frustrating as far as that was concerned, but it's the first year that they've used this type of scheduler. I have a feeling they will find ways to correct it, but overall, it wasn't too bad. Especially if you want to look for a particular event. It's like, here's the one that I created. Just type in the game name, search, and there it is. So, which it also still comes up under content creation. Go figure. All right. So, other than that, not great, not horrible, but is what it is. They can only get better from here. All right, couple other things. So they had what they called, conventions within the convention. So first off, they had the Prototype Con. It was a room that was still pretty good sized. It wasn't as big as Open Gaming or the main gaming hall, but it was very well received. Basically, if you have a game and you want to show it off, you can bring your game in, teach people to play, get feedback, see what people think of it. Traffic did seem to fluctuate. I went by at times and there weren't very many people in there. I went by at other times and it was packed. It seemed like the room was very, very popular. Even the Facebook group for the convention, lots of people talked about how much fun they had in the prototype room. And the prototype developers, or the game developers, also expressed their thanks for everybody that showed up. So it was very much a give and take kind of a situation, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. So I'll be honest, I did not go in and participate myself. I did wander through a couple of times, but regardless, it was very, very well received at the show. Now, the next one, which was the one I was more interested in, was the 3C Con, the Content Creator Community. There were 4 panels for this, but overall, I don't think this was delivered as advertised. Part of the reason that I went for the 5 days is I did reach out ahead of time asking what kind of events there were going to be, because there was nothing, hard and fast on the website. And I was told that most of the events would happen on Wednesday and Thursday, and so those would be the days to show up for the content creators. And outside of the panels that were listed, like I said, I just found a couple of events by sorting a different way. They did not really have a lot of content for that, and so that was a little frustrating. I wish they would have done more. Especially being relatively new to this space, I'd be happy to contribute, but I don't feel like I have a whole lot yet. Regardless, I'd like to see it come back. I'd like to see it better developed. But this year was a bit lackluster. The other one was the War Game Con. I did see a couple of signs for this in the main hall, but I did not investigate them, and I regret that. I would have liked to check it out. I like old school strategy games, even though I have not played a lot of them. And, I know things were going on, but I don't know how well it was received. So unfortunately, I can't report back on that. But at least having the signs, knowing people were in there, I'm assuming they at least got some traffic. And so definitely next year, I will check it out. Now, this is going to be the controversial part of the video, and so I understand that, but do realize that everything that I say, I am not trying to tell anyone what they should or should not do. This is just my personal opinion. The thing that I did not like about the show was the masks. I'm from Arizona. We have not had any mask requirements in Arizona for over a year now. So it was very frustrating to me to even have to get masks. We really didn't have any here at home. So that was a bit frustrating. However, I do think the show handled it as best they could. On the website leading up to the convention, they did say that they would be following whatever the state guidelines were. And up until about the beginning of February, the state guidelines were that masks were required indoors everywhere. All right. So about 2 weeks before the convention, Nevada lifted their mask mandates. And instead of just completely lifting them for the convention, they decided that they would leave the convention masked, but the open gaming area would be declared mask optional. Now, I do remember on, I believe it was Thursday morning, There was a lady that I was walking, like she had a couple of questions while we were walking to the convention center, and we ended up running into each other near the open gaming, um, and uh, and she asked if it was the open gaming, and I said yes. It's and it's mask optional, and she was worried that they weren't going to let her in, and I said no, that's not the case. It's mask optional. You want to wear it, nobody's going to care, and nobody did. I saw plenty of people in there with masks. I saw most people in there without masks, so it was obviously up to the individual, and I think it was a decent compromise. Personally, I would have liked to not have to wear a mask at all, but I understand why the show did it, and I think it was a decent compromise. It was frustrating because this convention was pretty much the only place in the city that seemed to require it. I'm not saying it was the only place, but for us, that's what it seemed like. It was definitely the only place in the entire casino that was requiring it. We did go to the Penn and Teller show, and even there, nobody was required to wear masks. So that was a little bit frustrating. With the masks, I'll be honest, I was less inclined to wander the hall. I'm healthy. I wasn't worried about getting sick. And to not want to cause issues, I ended up staying most of my time in the open gaming area. I had plenty of friends. I had plenty of things to do, but it did restrict how much I was willing to move around the show. So just another thing to consider. The other thing is that the open gaming area absolutely had more people in it. It had more people. They were closer together all weekend. It was obviously it was obviously at everybody's choice, but when I would go by the main gaming hall, there was one area that was near the dealers section, and it was practically empty the entire time. The rest of the tables, they were probably about 75% full, which is about the same for the open gaming area. So I'm not going to say that there was nobody in either one, but the open gaming area definitely seemed more popular compared to the main gaming hall. So again, it was just a thing that frustrated me for how it all went down. I understand. Again, had no problems with anyone who wore a mask. Didn't care if they were playing a game wearing a mask. One of the I'll even show a picture here in a few minutes in the open gaming area, somebody wearing a mask, and they were a great player. Had a wonderful time with them. So again, just frustrating, but not my call. All right, so these are the games that I play. The first one that I played, I was invited into Evil Upheaval. It is from Lucky Troll Games, and I was curious just because of the fact that on the sign saying, hey, come try the game, they said it was based on Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. It is a video from about 10 or 11 years ago with Neil Patrick Harris, Nathan Fillion, Felicia Day, and it is absolutely hilarious. I absolutely recommend that you check it out. You can find it on YouTube, but they made a game based on it. It's a bunch of supervillains versus a superhero, and everything kind of silly. It had an interesting mechanic where, as the supervillain, you were trying to get the parts for your super weapon to go in and beat the hero. The art wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad. The game didn't grab me as one that I had to have in my collection, but I did have a fun time with the players, and grateful that I got to try something new. That night, I did play a game of BattleTech. Obviously, if you're on my channel, you've probably been seeing a lot of BattleTech content, and a player or somebody going to the convention wanted to try it out. And so I figured, you know what? I'll bring my Battletech stuff and I can teach him how to play. I know I got rules wrong, but we had a great time. One mech each, him and a Battle Master, me and an Awesome, and I got wrecked. But regardless, had a great time and ended up making a friend. He was a great guy. Lots of conversations. Played some additional games with him later on this weekend, and good times there. All right, the next one was Le Havre. Now, this is an Uwe Rosenberg game, and it is probably pure analysis paralysis. There was so much going on. There was so much I didn't understand. I'll be honest, I don't know if I will ever play it again. I'm not saying I won't play it, but it's definitely not one that I'm going to be trying to add to my collection. There were a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of things that you had to know how and what to do. And I got trounced pretty badly in this game. But Brian, Justin, if you guys see this, thank you so much for inviting me to join you and to play. You guys were fantastic, even if I wasn't a big fan of the game. So, there's that. Next, we got to try Battle Stations. Now, I own Battle Stations. I have never played Battle Stations. Now, one of the problems is it is a science fiction game, and my wife is not big into science fiction like I am. So, at first, she was really hesitant, but I wanted her to at least give it a try because I did own it, and I wanted to know if she would be willing to play when we came back. Battle Stations is interesting. It's very much a role-playing game and a board game, but it's very much a sandbox kind of do what you want kind of a thing. We were taught how to play by the creator, and I'm going to probably mess up his name, so if you watch this, I'm sorry, Jeff. Jeff Siotic. You can see his name here on the box cover. Regardless, we had a fun conversation. I was hoping to get an interview with him for the channel. Unfortunately, I think he left the show early, and so I was not able to. I will try to do something later on, but regardless, it's always fun when you can tell that this is absolutely a passion project for somebody and that they're doing it because they love it. He absolutely loves Battle Stations. He loves teaching it. It was kind of funny because leading up to it, he was kind of sleeping at his demo table, but as soon as we walked up and said, hey, we'd like to try this, he perked right up and got into it and was super excited to show us his game. It was great. I'm excited about it. I got the expansion with the little ships and some extra scenarios, and I'm super excited to get this out on the table. All right. Next, my wife and I played a game of Funkoverse. We didn't bring a lot of games with us. I had her pick some that she wanted to try, and she wanted to try Funkoverse, specifically the Golden Girls version. And I've been buying Funkoverse since it came out in 2019, and this was the first time I've actually played it. It is a fantastically designed little game. It comes out of Prospero Hall, and I've been very happy with their design, so I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get this out sooner. It's fun. It's a nice little, battle skirmish game. Did really well. Okay, Picture Perfect. We only played half of the game. It was in the demo area. And so we didn't get the time to do a full one, but it's a really interesting game where you have all these little cardboard standees of different characters, and you get passed envelopes where it'll tell you that the person wants to stand next to someone else or wants to stand close to the table or away from the table on the left side, the right side, whatever, doesn't want to be near somebody else. And so you have to try and guess how to put the people in this little diorama, and then at the end take a picture of it. Sometimes it says this person doesn't want their face seen, And so you have to make sure you take your picture so that you can prove, hey, look, I did this, so that their face isn't seen. It was an interesting concept. I thought my wife would like it more than I did. And I think we were both a little disappointed. It's not a bad game. It's I'd like to give it another try, maybe play out the full 6 rounds instead of just 3, but it wasn't grabbing either of us. So I don't know. Interesting. A lot of people really like it. Not sure if it'll end up at our house. The next day, later that day, we then played Paper Dungeons. I've been trying to get my wife to try Roll and Rights for a while now, and she hasn't really wanted to do so. This one, we got her to try. It's a little dungeon crawl, and it was designed very, very well. I'm very interested. We only got to play it once. I definitely want to try it again, but it's a really, really interesting mechanic. Basically roll some dice and you have a dungeon, then you have to, level your characters, move around the dungeon, collect items, collect potions, and score points by, getting all this stuff done. It ended up being a lot of fun. My wife and I both made some major mistakes early on that absolutely cost us a lot of points. But regardless, I'm definitely going to try it again later. One fun fact for me, turns out it was designed by a Brazilian. I love Brazil. I spent a couple of years there, and, so I kind of nerd out when I find stuff from Brazil, and to see, a game like this, not necessarily expecting it out of Brazil, I'm super excited. Definitely want to pick one up myself. All right, the last one we played was New York Zoo. We have played this many times. I still need to get a review done for the channel, but I got to teach this one to a friend of mine who was actually a way more prolific board gamer than I, and he hadn't been able to try it yet. So got to take him through it, had a lot of fun, and my wife absolutely trounced all of us. She finished her zoo first, and I think it was my worst game ever with like 12 open spots, which I hardly ever do. Okay, so I went to 3 of the 4 panels for content creators. And unfortunately, even for all of these, I was only able to get to maybe half of them. Just different scheduling conflicts, or ended up in a game that went too long, and I absolutely am not going to duck out of a game early if I can avoid it. I went to the panel about what makes a good board game preview review. I missed a lot of the things that they were talking about, but did absolutely glean some interesting things about whether the key takeaway on that for me was scripting versus structuring, a review. And I've done my best to avoid scripting a review. I usually will script something in the beginning, but they made a lot of good points about just focusing on a structure and letting the flow come. So that's kind of where I've got to focus my work on. The State of Content Creation 2022 and Beyond. This one, it was a little disjointed. Again, I didn't get to be there for the entire thing, but it was still interesting. The different approaches people are taking. There was a YouTube channel, a TikTok channel, and an Instagram photo. I guess I'll call it a channel for lack of a better way to put it right now. And just their different approaches, why they're using their particular medium, and so that was kind of interesting. And then I only got to go to a few minutes of the mistakes I've made and things I learned about content creation by Tom Vassell himself. I realized that it was absolutely my fault for not getting there at the beginning, so I think I would have gotten more out of it. And unfortunately, these were the only panels I was really able to get to the entire weekend as well. There was another one about diversity and in gaming. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it to that one. And then I didn't go to any of the other panels. I know there was one about publishing a board game, working with a manufacturer, and then there was the big Saturday night panel, and I missed all of those. All right, last thing I wanted to talk about, as I occasionally, like I've mentioned in previous videos, I do help out Mantic Games at different conventions. Mantic Games was not here, but I was, and so I did schedule a little bit of time where I could go in and do some demos of Hellboy. It's a game that I own myself and absolutely fell in love with as a co-op dungeon crawl with actually a pretty decent AI, so that everybody gets to be the hero. It always frustrates me because I always have to be the bad guy, but in this case, even though I was technically running the bad guys for the players, just to kind of speed things along, I like this game because I can be the hero. I can get in, I can play Hellboy or Liz or Johan and have some fun with it. It was released from Mantic in 2019. I ran 2 games of it this weekend for 6 brand new players. This is the one I mentioned, the guy in the open gaming area in the mask, and he was a wonderful player. Nobody cared that he had a mask, and he didn't care that we didn't. So that was also awesome. But everybody managed to understand what was going on with the game, have some fun with it, and go from there. We had 6 brand new players, and I did run it in the open gaming area. Now, I think I could have had more players if I was in the regular demo area. I definitely want to submit for running events in that area. But I decided to stay to the open gaming area just because I don't know if there were any costs associated or anything that the convention was requiring for official demos. So I just went there, put up my players wanted sign, and got people to show the game to. So overall, I have to say that I absolutely loved going to this show. Like I said, it's the second time that my wife and I have been, and provided she's not decided to completely be unsocial, I hope to go again next year. So if you were there, let me know, what did I get wrong? What did you like most about the show? What did I miss? What do I have to make sure that I see next time? Please do comment down below. I would love to hear from you. If you are new here, please do subscribe to the channel. I've got all sorts of content from miniatures games, board games, card games. Basically, if you can play it on the tabletop, I'm probably going to want to talk about it at some point. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.